Once upon a time, there was a young woman who lived in an ordinary town, in an ordinary place with an ordinary life. And many of these stories that begin this way, told throughout time, are about ordinary people in ordinary places who crave the extraordinary, who crave an escape from the humdrum, the ins and outs of daily life. But not this woman. In fact, this woman loved living in an ordinary town, in an ordinary place. She loved the simple tasks of her day. Something as simple as, I have to clean the carpet today, or I have to get to the mailbox today. She found great comfort in these things. But the world around her, as the years went on, proved to be less than sympathetic to these ordinary wishes. The woman didn't know if it was simply that she was getting older and learning more about the world, or if the world was becoming more full of unrest and complexity and mystery and problem and excitement. But no matter which one it was becoming more and more difficult for this woman to take the peculiarities and the upsets of life in stride. Her city was changing around her. Or again, maybe she was changing inside the city. She couldn't figure it out and was beginning to wear on her. She would hypothesize about, is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with the world? Why can't I do something as simple as take a taxi to the theater without almost getting run over in the street, or getting into a screaming match with my driver, or watching other people running into the street in front of the taxi? Why is there always an incident? Why is there always complication? And as this went on, she became more and more convinced that these were not just coincidences. These were not just random accidents and incidents plaguing her days and nights. There must be a connection. These complications must all be linked together in some chain of coincidence, something with meaning to it. There had to be some meaning to it. Because if there was meaning to it, then maybe there was something she could do about it. But if this is just the way the world was, then what could she do? And the days and nights and the weeks and the months wore on, and everything just became more and more complicated. Cleaning the carpet was now an arduous chore, because every time the vacuum cleaner would be broken, or she wouldn't have the time that she had set aside because of something else that had come up. There was always a complication. Soon she became resigned to this, and believed that having an ordinary life in an ordinary place was just impossible. If not for everybody, certainly for her. Getting in a taxi, she assumed, would be a whole unfortunate adventure. Even if things were good, they were still so busy and so messy. Even when she was having a good time with her friends or at home, she wasn't having a good time because too many things were happening. And one day, cleaning the carpet, getting more and more frustrated and agitated. Her cat following her every minute, meowing and crying, not letting her just focus on the task. When suddenly her cat ran between her legs and she tripped, and her feet became tangled in the vacuum cleaner cord, and she fell. And she felt her head strike against the floor. And she was out. When she awoke, sometime later, disoriented and groggy, she found herself staring up at the ceiling of her home. She could tell that she had not been out for very long because the dust from the carpet was still floating in the air. It had only been a moment. And she lay there and she stared at the dust floating in the air. These tiny little particles swirling around, the infinite complexity and complication of their movements in the air, the way they caught the light coming through the window. Impossible to scrutinize, impossible to simplify. But whether it was the exhaustion or the head wound, or if it was just finally time for her to understand, she wasn't agitated. She wasn't panicked or irritated. She looked up and she saw the dust swirling, and she felt her body lying on the floor. And she realized that they were different. She was not the swirling dust. The swirling dust was not her. Her home was not simple and ordinary. The world was not simple and ordinary. But she was not her home, and she was not the world. And she lay there, and she watched the dust. And for the first time truly realized that she did not have to be complicated. Her thoughts did not have to be complicated. She could watch the dust swirl, but keep her mind and her heart still. It was a simple thought, a small gesture, a brief moment. But for her, it was the key. The key to finally learning how to live a simple life in a complicated world. The end. Did you like that one, Seashell? Did you like that story?